Okay, this video will be how to order ions from the smallest ionic radius to the largest. And so what you want to do first is you definitely want to draw the half shell model. And so I just draw them for the neutral atoms first, and then I will talk about what to do. So anyway, magnesium has 12 protons, so I'd go 12 plus. Okay, this is for magnesium. And then I'm going to draw the shells. It's in the third row, so magnesium has 1, 2, 3 shells. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's magnesium plus 2. So when it becomes plus 2, it's going to lose its 2 valence electrons, which means that it loses its outer shell. Metals lose their outer shell. Okay, the valence electrons anyway. All right? So I'm going to erase that. So magnesium plus 2 only has 2 shells of electrons. Okay, now let's do calcium. Okay, calcium has 20 protons, and this is calcium. And calcium normally has 1, 2, 3, 4 shells. But when calcium becomes plus 2, all right, it's going to lose its outer shell. It's going to lose its 4s2 electrons. Those go away. Metals are losers. So it's going to lose those. Okay? Now, okay, let's do oxygen. And so if we draw oxygen, okay, so oxygen, and it has 8 protons, so 8 positive charges. And then oxygen has 2 shells. All right? Now, when oxygen becomes -2, it's going to gain 2 electrons, making it have an electron configuration like neon, but neon still has 2 shells. So we're going to leave it, just 2 shells. Okay, and then we'll do fluorine, and fluorine has 9 protons, and it has 2 shells. All right, but when fluorine becomes -1, it's going to gain 1 electron, but that's going to make it be like neon, but it still has 2 shells. Okay, so now when you want to order these, you look at the shells first, and you say, okay, well, which one do any of them have more shells than the others? And the answer is yes, calcium does. So it's going to be the largest. So I'm going to say calcium has the largest radius because it has more shells. So calcium 2 plus has the largest radius, or larger than the other ones, because it has more shells. And for good measure, anytime something has more shells, it has more shielding. All right. Okay, more shells, more shielding. Okay, now the next thing is, now we got to compare fluorine, oxygen, and magnesium. They all have the same shells. So when they have the same shells, you have to look at the number of protons. Okay? Uh, Basically, these all have the same number of electrons. They all are like neon. Okay? But you look at the number of protons holding the electrons, and the one with the most protons holding the electrons is going to be the smallest, or pulling in. And so magnesium is going to be smaller than oxygen and fluorine because it has more protons pulling on the electrons. And then it's going to be fluorine and then oxygen. Okay? So I don't know how we want to explain this, but we could say fluorine is larger than oxygen. Fluorine 1 minus is larger than oxygen 2 minus, which is oxide. Fluoride is larger than oxide because, no, I didn't say that right. Let me erase that. Sorry. I'm goofing up here. Okay. So fluorine, I should have said, is smaller than O2 minus because fluoride has more protons pulling in on the electrons. See, all of these have 10 electrons. 10 electrons, 10 electrons, 10 electrons. It's all about the number of protons. So fluorine is smaller than oxygen because it has more protons pulling in on the electrons. Okay? And you could say the same thing about magnesium 2 plus is smaller than O minus 2. Let's see. Yeah, I should do it the other way around, not O minus 2. So let's do magnesium is smaller than fluoride, because magnesium 2 plus has more protons pulling in on the electrons. So whenever you're doing ions, draw these half shell models and then compare. More shells means it has a larger ionic radius. But when the shells are the same, look at the number of protons. More protons makes a smaller radius when they have the same number of shells, because these ions then will have the same number of electrons. So 12 pulling in on 10 is smaller than 9 pulling in on 10 electrons. And 9 pulling in on 10 is smaller than 8 pulling in on 10. Alright, that's it for this video.